Certified life coach Andrea Giles is the host of the Heal from Infidelity podcast, as well as a mother to 12 in a big blended family. Her main coaching focus lies in helping women reclaim their lives after infidelity in her signature program, Get Your Life Back After Infidelity. In addition to coaching and taking care of her family, Andrea loved good music, being outside, and traveling anywhere and everywhere. And I've been Andrea's Healed from Fidelity podcast. I am very happy to have her here with us. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm excited because infidelity is a topic that we touch on a lot in the Divorce Money Guide and on social media and things like that. And today I want to talk about what happens after infidelity. Now, to start off, I know that you have your own personal story of divorce that involves infidelity. What would you like to
Yeah.
share with us about that?
Yeah. So I'll share. I'm imagining many of your listeners, many people here would relate to this. I was a stay-at-home mom. I supported my first husband like by being home with our kids while he pursued degree after degree. We lived all over the place. He was very successful in his career, did well, but there was a lot of deceit that was going on for much of our marriage that I did not know about until I knew things were off, but I didn't know the extent of it until much later in the marriage. And um, for me, I ultimately decided to end my marriage. We had been married for 16 years and had 6 children, 14 and under. It was intense. It was terrifying, but something in me knew that that's what needed to happen. And it was terrifying because he had the career. He was a lawyer, successful, did really well, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and it was terrifying, but I just knew. I knew I needed to leave. And part of my story that is unique is that um, 7 months after we got divorced, he was in a car accident and passed away. And so my kids and I experienced a lot of loss in a very concentrated time. It was a lot. It was a lot to deal with. But for me, during the time that I was going through all of that, people came out of the woodwork wanting to talk to me, and I felt like a hot mess, right? Like, why do you, well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to get through. They'd ask me questions about what to do and what do you think about this? I'm like, I'm trying to figure it out. I'll let you know, right? But I just had this knowing that I was being tutored, that I was being taught, and that I needed to get to the other side of it for my kids, for myself, and be able to reach back to other women and help them in the same boat. And so once things settled down a little bit, I went back to school with the intention of being a therapist. I was actively in school on this path. I thought that I was going to be a therapist, and then was introduced to the coaching model. And it was so much more helpful to me than any of the therapy that I had done. I think there's wonderful therapy out there. I do. But for me personally, the kind of coaching that I now do was so much more like forward focused. And, this really hard thing happened, and now what, right? Like very much more now let's get rebuilding, let's get moving forward. And I jumped ship. I left. I finished that semester of school, and I went all in and have done multiple certifications, and have been now coaching full time for 5 years, and have helped lots and lots of women navigate this space.
Hey, I think what you said about therapy versus coaching really resonates me. My own personal
Yeah.
experience with both of them is that therapy is very past focused and what has happened and how did you react and how does that shape you, which has its place, but coaching seems very let's make a plan, let's figure out what we want for the future and let's execute on it.
Yes, that was very much my experience. Like it did help kind of untangle and teach me like different things about what happened, what was going on. But even with like the untangling of some of these things, it was like, okay, now what am I supposed to do with this, right? and I still felt stuck.
Okay, I'm gonna go straight to the punchline. Can
All right.
marriages heal from infidelity, or is it just best to leave and start over?
I personally give a resounding yes, they can. That's my experience of what I've seen. From my own story that I left. But I have seen so many people stay. And here's the kicker. You only stay if you are not settling. And I see my job as a coach to help teach my people to understand what that means for themselves, like to really know what it means for if they're settling, if they're not settling, and helping them set a high standard. And the big question, right? Let's just jump into it. The big question is, can I ever trust again, right? The obviously the trust was just demolished. It was demolished. And part of the reason why I so strongly believe that marriages can actually thrive after infidelity is because it's such a crisis, it's such a blow that for many of my clients, they are able to kinda there's this time where they're like, "Screw it, I'm just gonna tell the truth of all the things that I have been holding on to for 15 years, all the things I've stuffed down, all the things that I've been pissed about, that I've been resentful about. If he's gonna bring this, then I'm not holding back." And there's this massive relief on their end that they finally can just say what's true. And a kind of a leveling of a lot of things, a lot of things. And yes, is there destruction? Absolutely. It's destructive, right? Infidelity. But if both parties, and we can get into this a little bit, there's things that have to be there. 100%. There's things that have to be there. But if those things are there, what can be built can be so much more intentional and really beautiful than what was there before the infidelity, where people were likely kind of going through the motions and lacking specific tools, and it can be a much healthier on the other side.
What I see in the online divorce support groups that I'm a member of and the infidelity groups is a lot of women feeling like it's their responsibility to fix it and stay. And
Mm.
my perception, and I'm not a coach in this area like you, I'm not trained at all, but my perception is there really has to be two people committed to doing certain things in order for there to be real healing and to have a chance for that relationship to
Yep.
continue in a positive fashion. What should the woman look for in her partner to gauge whether this marriage is worth saving?
Okay, so there's some key things that have to be there. One is empathy. Empathy. And that's really hard for a lot of men. It's really hard for them to sit with their partner and hear that their partner is in pain, and then know that it's because of something they did that their partner is in pain. And a lot of people go straight into this shame spiral, right? They go into the shame spiral of, "Oh my gosh, I'm such a loser. I'm so this and that." And then they make it about them, right? And that's not empathy. It is not empathy. And so one huge thing is if they can develop the ability to hold space for you and everything that you're feeling without turning it into something about them, and being able to kind of handle their own discomfort in that. It's going to be uncomfortable, right? Another huge piece, remorse. Remorse, it has to be there. If they don't really understand the weight of what they've done and the pain that they've caused and how they've blown up somebody else's life, and if they just want to avoid it, I hear this all the time. People come to me, I all the time. He doesn't wanna talk about it. He says that it's over and done, and we should just be able to move on, and he promises he won't do it again. Nope, nope. Back that up. That does not work. Why? It's not sustainable, right? You're just living in the same patterns that wound up here in the first place of a blown up marriage, right? There's no room for healing. There's no room for real intimacy and connection. There's no room in that for him to understand how he got himself there in the first place, right? And if my clients don't have an understanding of that because he won't look at it, it's not good enough, right? It's tucking away their own needs. It's like stuffing down their own, um, the things they need to say, the data they need to collect to make this other person feel better, and that can't work. There has to be consistency. Anybody can say anything when they're in trouble, right? When they're caught. It's easy. "Oh my gosh, I'll do anything," right? "I'll do anything. Tell me what to do and I'll do it." Really easy, right? Easy words to say. Consistency has to be there. Not perfection, but consistency. None of us are gonna be perfect, but consistency has to be there where they are continuously checking in with themselves to check, like, "How am I doing? How am I showing up to my spouse? What do you need communicating? What do you need from me? How can I support you? How can I know that I can't undo that, but how can I do right by you now?" Right? Showing up, consistently showing up, and over time, that's where trust is rebuilt. It's in putting the actions behind the words for as long, forever, really. It's like an internal and in such an internal shift that that you can recognize in their exterior actions, the things that they're doing, that they really are a changed person because of this crisis. So those things have to be there.
Yeah, there's a lot, and it comes down to true change for the
Yes.
individual and for the relationship. So, as you know, money is my jam. And so I want to talk just a
Yes.
little bit about infidelity and finances. So, they're affairs, and it costs money to carry those on.
Yeah.
But there's financial infidelity in general, where a spouse is lying about money matters, maybe violating money agreements that we have, spending wildly, maybe wasting money on things like gambling. How do
Yep.
people heal the trust when it comes to financial betrayal?
Yeah. It looks a lot the same. Like, it's a lot of the same stuff. It's, "Let me lay this out for you and show you everything." That's one, like, complete transparency. I will tell you whatever you need to know or want to know. I will show you all of it. I will let you see. And, for most people, that kind of, standing naked in front of somebody, like, "Here it all is terrifying." But you gotta know that you're with somebody that's willing to do that, to truly lay it all out, right? And so, moving forward from financial infidelity, s transparency, full transparency, accountability. "I see that that I have wronged you. This is wrong." Right? Um, Making it right, including, like, letting you into the story and into the financial story, like, letting you see the numbers. Not this I just take care of it, right? I take care of everything and you don't need to worry about it. Not No more of that. Like, partnering, collaborating on where they spend the partner's money. It's both of theirs, right? And so, what do you think about this? Like, it's a change of behavior. It's a complete change of behavior. And often what I see, it's really sad. It's really sad. I've had so many people come and they don't even have access at all to bank accounts. I know you see this all the time.
Yes.
Oh, like, don't even know how to see how much money there is in their account. Like, they're, like, given an allowance or things like that. They're given a certain amount of money, and then the spouse is just like, "I've got it. Don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about it. Look how comfortable your life is. You don't need to know." And they have no power at all in their that financial arrangement, right? And so, pushing hard on that, like, I won't consider staying if this is not completely overhauled. Like, we're not talking, you just log in and show me the accounts. Like, I get access to them. I get to see whatever you see whenever I want, right? Um, Really, like, it is like a fundamental shift, and it has to be.
If the husband has been the breadwinner in the family and the wife either isn't working or maybe she's working in reduced capacity and her income is much lower, if she is at a place where she thinks it's the right thing to leave the relationship, but there is this financial imbalance, how can she grow her confidence to take that leap and leave.
Yep. I know this very personally because I was her, right? Um, I I recommend going to an attorney and paying that initial fee to talk to a do your research, do your homework, look at good reviews, get referrals, and talk to somebody who knows all the ins and outs of your state. Knowing for people in the US, for people outside the US, wherever you are, knowing the laws of your country, the divorce laws, and um, that to me, that I did that. I remember I was so terrified, like, "My gosh, is this for real? Am I really doing this?" But it was so empowering. It was so empowering to know what my rights were, to know that I lived in the state of California. It's a 50-50 state. I knew that I would at least be getting half because we'd been married for over 10 years, and that gave me so much peace of mind to go, "Okay, I can do that. I can live off of that. I can and then I can figure out how to bring in more income. I can do that, but I'm not just going to be stranded with nothing, right?" And so I think that's a really good starting point is instead of use that worry and anxiety and turn it into the fuel to go get answers. Like you can spend so much time worrying about, I don't know if I can. Okay, let's go find out. Get the facts, get the data, and then we'll talk, right? And then we'll go, okay, now what? With this data, now what? What's the best strategy here?
Having some knowledge and brings so much confidence, and that's what we see in the
Yeah.
divorce money guide is just, you know, having those bank statements in your hands and being able to see what has been happening with your money, whether it's good or bad. Obviously, you don't want it to be bad, but even if it is, you at least know, and that can help
Yes.
so much versus being uncertain. So, I want to
Yes.
ask one last question as we're wrapping up.
Okay.
Because I know that there can be a lot of discomfort related to any of the options after infidelity. You know, women are worried about being judged. If she stays, people are going to judge her for that. Why didn't she leave him? But if she ends the marriage, there's other people who will judge her and say marriage is supposed to be forever. What do you say to women about this
Oh,
discomfort?
it's real. People will have opinions, and I think a lot of people avoid going to looking at divorce, like really staring it down and going, is that a real option for me? Because of that right there. They're so afraid of what people will think. They're so afraid of their spouse losing their job if people find out what happened, that kind of thing. And just so much fear, so much fear. What I would say is that I think people are inherently resilient, that we have this resiliency in us that for many of us, is untapped, like that we have not pushed on. Oh, and maybe we have, but it can be pushed a lot harder, right? And I think that this piece is I think the things that are the hardest for us present an opportunity for the most growth. And I remember for me, Tracy, I remember feeling like I had the scarlet letter of divorce on my forehead. Like it was
Yes.
not happening. I was not going to be, it was it was the unthinkable. It really was. I was in it for the long haul. I felt a lot of shame. Like, "Oh my gosh, I everybody knows and they'll think I'm a failure. They'll think I just gave up on them." And the thing is, some people did think that, and it did get communicated back to me. And what I learned that has served me so well in growing a business and being an entrepreneur and being a stepmother and all of the things that I'm doing is that it's grown just this within myself, being able to hear what is true and hang on to it and go, "They are wrong about me." And as long as I know that, it's so much easier to let it go and even compassionately let it go. Gosh, this is scary for them. This feels threatening to them for some reason, and I can have compassion for that. But I don't need to explain. I don't need to ask for permission. I don't need to go try to capitulate to them. I know why I am making this choice, and that's good enough for me. And that getting there in can just serve you so well forevermore. And sometimes it is these big decisions that are it's costing so much not to make a decision. The pain of not choosing and just staying in the same thing so much or for so long can become more painful than dealing with the aftermath of knowing that there's people that are gonna judge you, that you might lose some relationships, right? But that at the end of the day, you can hold your head up high and know that you're living in integrity with yourself, and what a gift.
No one has to live your life except you.
Yes. We're stuck with ourselves, right? Like, you and me right here, like, we there's no more important relationship than that, and when we learn to honor that, even if it means letting go of relationships that are painful to let go of, it's better than letting go of yourself, right?
Right. Okay, I know that you've got a free download that we are going to link in the show notes, and it is about
Yep.
the three biggest lies about infidelity. Tell me about it.
So this is just it's a little video and some information about the stories that people often tell about infidelity. The things that we make it mean. There's the infidelity, and then there's the stories that we tell that cause a whole lot of suffering, unnecessary suffering. And so this guide kind of takes you through identifying, looking at those lies and really looking at yourself and seeing where you are buying into some of those and being able to let go of some of them.
And then tell us about your coaching program.
Sure. So I run a coaching program called Get Your Life Back After Infidelity. It's a group coaching program. It's only for women, and it is I've developed a method called the post infidelity growth method. It's all about taking this crappy thing that nobody wants to raise their hand to and say, "Oh, sign me up, infidelity," right? Taking this thing and letting it work for you, growing through it, becoming stronger, really realizing some of the parts of yourself that you have abandoned in the last years and reclaiming them and raising that standard, raising the bar for your own life and moving forward. And I created this program because kind of like we talked about, there's a lot of support out there around infidelity, but a lot of it is very victim based. A lot of it is just kind of keeping you in that's so sad, and this is gonna hurt for a long time, and it's probably gonna take this many years and all of that for you to feel better. And I have a very different approach. I teach my clients in the process that I go through in my coaching program how to how to be able to authentically, with integrity, truly from the inside out take this thing and catapult their own growth and healing. And I'll just say, just yesterday I was on a call with my group, and somebody in there, she went through my initial program and then she's in my alumni group, and she just was talking about how she's like, I am unrecognizable from who I was a year ago. I'm unrecognizable. She said my mom even said I look different, like her from the inside out, just this transformation. And that's what my program is about. We're not surviving this, we're using it to transform our life and elevate everything. Like, if we're gonna deal with this thing, we're gonna make it good, right? We're not gonna just have this thing that is just this crappy chapter in our life that we sweep under the rug. We're gonna shine a light on it, and we're gonna use it and mine it for things that we can learn about ourselves and elevating our life from here.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. What a conversation. I am so happy to have you share your knowledge with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun.